Hi, I'm Steve Brand. I grew up in New England and have been all over the world with the United States Air Force and have been very lucky to see some of the world's most beautiful places. But I've also been to some of the world's worst places due to pollution. Because of those experiences of getting to see the world's beauty, but also the bad side of things because of pollution, I'm always looking for ways to try to make a difference for the environment, big or small. I've always felt that if every single person did something, no matter how big or small it is, all of those things would add up to make a huge, amazing difference. I recently learned of a technique that we could use for something that we do every single day, which is driving. And that technique is called hypermiling. Hypermiling is a technique of driving that we could all do to help make a positive impact on the environment. So let's start right there. What is hypermiling? I'm sure, just like myself, many of you have never heard of hypermiling. So, as I had said, hypermiling is a driving technique that can help reduce air pollution and reduce natural resource consumption. To go deeper into that, Edmunds.com describes people that hypermile, or they call them hypermilers, are drivers of both hybrid cars and regular vehicles who go to extraordinary lengths to get as much as they can from each gallon of gasoline, trying to surpass the EPA's estimated fuel economy ratings. Now, the next question I'm sure you're asking yourself is how the heck do I accomplish hypermiling? Well, according to an article on MotherEarthNews.com published June of 2010, some of the basic hypermiling techniques are slowing down, braking less, lighten the load that you have in your vehicle, minimize the use of air conditioning, keep up with maintenance, and avoid excessive idling. Now, to me, these seem to be pretty simple things to do. The MotherEarthNews.com article continues stating that the intermediate techniques of hypermiling are drive without brakes. This technique is not as dangerous as it may sound. You simply drive as if you've lost your brakes, even though you still have full use of them. The idea is to anticipate stops and to decelerate by simply taking your foot off the gas, coasting to a stop rather than speeding up toward it. Now, another is alternate routes. Choose routes that are less traveled and thus allow more flexibility to employ a wider range of hypermiling techniques than if you were surrounded by other vehicles. Leave early and try not to rush. Another is smart braking. Brake early to avoid starting again from a dead stop, especially when facing an uphill climb, the worst scenario for gas mileage. If you can avoid a complete stop by slowing early to allow a pedestrian, turning vehicle, or other impediment ahead of to clear, you'll conserve fuel. Last one is rabbit timing. This technique works at traffic lights with sensors. When approaching a stale red light, one that has been red for a long time and will soon turn green, slow down early and let the other traffic around you, the rabbits, trip the light sensor as they race ahead and then stop. They may cause the light to go green so you may not have to stop at all. These techniques sound a little bit harder to do, but I'm sure with practice they will come more of a natural part of your driving. So now I've looked at what hypermiling is and how to do it. Let's look at why we should do it in the first place. What is the overall impact of all the vehicles on the road at our current state? And researching that question, I found an article on nationalgeographic.com published October 27th, 2017. And it states, quote, the most of automobiles' environmental impact, perhaps 80 to 90%, will be due to fuel consumption and emissions of air pollution and greenhouse gases that climate scientists say are driving global warming. Fortunately, the level of that impact is very much under control of the driver, end quote. I thought that was a very interesting statement because it says that the level of impact is under the control of the driver. That statement, to me, points to hypermiling as a possible good technique to help for us to use to help become more environmentally friendly drivers. Another statistic, according to the Environmental Protection Agency website, is a quote, a typical passenger vehicle emits 4.6 metric tons of carbon dioxide per year, end quote. So I think think about how many cars are on the road in the United States alone. That is a lot of carbon dioxide being put into the air that we breathe. For the amount of gasoline we use just in the United States each year, the U.S. Energy Information Administration website says in 2017 about 142.98 billion gallons, or about 3.40 barrels, of finished motor gasoline was consumed in the United States, a daily average of about 391.71 million gallons, or 9.33 million barrels per day. That seems to be pretty insane to me, especially considering that we're using a natural resource that once it's gone forever. You can't make any more of that. So, that's just some information on the impact of cars on our environment. Now let's look at some of the benefits of hypermiling. First thing to be said is that hypermiling will save you money in fuel costs. That's not a bad thing. With gas prices on the rise, every little bit can help us save money in our everyday lives. According to an article on cleanmpg.com published July 24th, 2006, a 2009 Toyota Corolla XRS with an EPA rating of 25 miles per gallon was able to get 62.7 miles per gallon while hypermiling. That is an astounding 250% increase in what the EPA said that car should get per mile. A story from CNN.com talked about two men that drove a car through all 48 contiguous U.S. states, 8,387 miles on less than $300 of gas or diesel fuel. The 2015 Volkswagen Golf TDI they were driving was rated at an EPA rating of 45 miles per gallon on the highway. They were able to get 81.17 miles per gallon by applying the hypermiling techniques. Also, according to the same CNN story, in the UK where a gallon of gasoline costs around $5.60, hypermiling could save the average driver doing 8,000 miles in a 33 mile per gallon car around $500 a year. Just think about how much fuel that would save and how much carbon dioxide we could remove from the atmosphere if every single driver used the hypermiling techniques. I think that's pretty crazy. Well, so I've told you what hypermiling is and what some of the techniques are to be able to implement that. I told you just some of the impacts cars have on our environment by the amount of pollution cars create and by how much natural resources we use. Lastly, I told you just a few statistics of how hypermiling can be beneficial for the environment and our wallets. Hypermiling is a technique of driving that we can all do to help make a positive impact on the environment. What do you think about that statement now? Do you think you would give hypermiling a try? I know I'm going to try it. Like I said before, if there is something that I can do to help the environment, and it is something as simply as changing how I drive, why the heck not? I could do it every single day. Thanks so much for listening. I'm Steve. See ya.